Hello students, time to look at some double entry basics focusing on the requirements for A-level accounting students. So this video will just deal with cash transactions. That means that payment is made at the time of purchase or sale, or as soon as you get the invoice. Credit transactions mean an invoice is given and payment is made later or received, and then you pay your supplier a month or so later. So Viola's already been trading, that's why there's already balances on the T accounts, the ledger accounts. She's not VAT registered because VAT doesn't occur much in A-level. She's a sole trader, we know that because there's capital, and later drawings, which is when she starts taking her own money out because she's already got some good sales. About time she spent some money on herself. So, short list of transactions to do, those will then take a few seconds. So we need to know when to debit and when to credit. So the three most common ways I know of, I have heard a few others, but these are the most useful ones. Pearls, very old. It means on the debit side, purchase expenses and assets. So that is either for the trial balance or purchase and expenses. You'll only see entries on the debit side. Revenue liabilities sources, so revenue means sales usually. Those are normally credit entries in any T account and also on the trial balance. So, out of date language, but really liked by students, is dead click. Debtors is old language. It turned debtors into sales ledger control account, and now it should be receivables. That's customers that owe you money, and creditors is suppliers that you owe money to, has evolved into purchase ledger control account and now payables. But apart from that, it's expenses, assets the same way around. We've also got drawings in this one to help, and capital on the credit side. So Ear and Lips has the up-to-date language. It also even has a bit of logic to it because more goes into your ears than out. Expenses, assets and receivables. Liabilities, income, payables and sources on the credit side. Again, payables is suppliers that you owe money to. So whichever one works for you is best. We'll also notice that if you put items into the bank or cash, the other entries easier to work out, so you only need to remember bank and cash. So our first one then, let's get on with it. It's out of bank for cash. So banks on the credit side, I put a little note there. So we had £10,200 in the bank and £250 has been taken out, so out on the credit side, and then that has gone into the cash tin. So the detail signposts or shows you the other entry, so we can check what's happening and make sure everything's been happening properly, especially if it's a double entry and we've missed an entry off or something. It'll show. £48 cash for fuel, so back down to here, so out of cash. Abbreviate it, means some of that money has now been spent and expense accounts are debits. Next one is a purchase. So a debit card, 2,500. Purchases are always debits. Purchase returns would be credits. We'd normally keep a separate account for that. Debit card means a bank. So one debit entry, and because there's no VAT involved, one credit entry. There'd be two debit entries, one in the VAT account. One in purchases, one in bank, if VAT was involved. And then we've got our first sale. So sales are always credit entries, usually one that students remember, not normally a problem. And again the bank, because it's a cheque we've got, that means the money's coming into our bank account. Debit bank, credit sales. And there we are. So, and now we're paying instalment on the loan. So they owed 5,000 to start off, I think. So that means it's coming out the bank. Reducing the amount in the bank, but it's also reducing the loan, because it owed 5,000, we can owe £400 less. And it's telling you a story of what's happening here. It did owe that much. When it's, if you balanced it off now, it's down to 4,600. Then the laptop. Laptop will, in this case, go in office expenses, not other expenses, office equipment even. That will do fine. It could be computer equipment, IT equipment. Every business has its own pattern, its own set of accounts. Bank, because it was coming out of the bank, so it's increased the amount of office equipment that we have, but reduced the amount of money in the bank. And then two last ones, 400 out for personal use, so it's coming out the bank. So she's taking some money out. Drawings. Occasionally we hear people learning that drawings are an expense, but it helps in terms of which side to put it and where to put it in the trial balance, but actually in accounting terms it's very, very wrong. Yeah, so drawings are debits. And then one last one, a loan, more money on the loan. We're increasing the amount that we owe to the bank by 1,000, but that money has come into the bank. Do you know what, I've got the date wrong on this one, it doesn't really matter. It should have been the 24th, oh well. So that's all our entries done. Hopefully we've managed to balance our debits and credits. It's tempting sometimes not to, and then to see what happens. You'd learn more if it didn't work out right. But we'd better start balancing off our accounts. So there's a couple I've already done because we haven't changed them, and I'm using a spreadsheet to shorten the process. But the golden rule is you add up the biggest side. So capital, it's only got entries on the credit side, so there's no question that's the biggest side. And then the carry down is nothing other than a balancing figure. What really matters is we've now got both columns to the same total, and this brought down balance is our new total. Obviously if there were debit entries as well, the capital would have shrunk. However, this one hasn't, and that's a starting point for the next month. So sometimes that might be in a different page or a different tab in a spreadsheet or something. So again, this one's nice and easy because we're only adding up one side, and we're on a spreadsheet. Spreadsheets were invented for accountants to do things like this. So we've got a credit entry, and our purchases we can also do biggest side. The carry down just makes the two columns add up to the same side. That one hasn't changed, so I've already done it. And then this one has increased to 11,400. Again, biggest side, carry down, balances off, sides the same, new balance. So the bank loan's got a little bit more to work out in it, not massive because we're on a spreadsheet. We take the biggest side and take off the other side, the smaller side. So we've now got 5,600 owing, and both columns add up total to 6,000. And in a bank, again, a little bit more work to do, but actually on a spreadsheet it's easy because we take the figures off the smaller side, off the big side. So 3950. Yes, I've done a typo. Everything now adds up. Total's the same. And in cash, I can do that one in my head. does the same job, and then this one will be easy, and then drawings will also be easy. So when we put these amounts into our trial balance, the debits and credits should add up. Famous last words, this one shouldn't be a problem. So 73,100 sales. I haven't actually got them in order, but sales. So the inventory is actually not a ledger account, it's done by a stock take, because ledger accounts are too inaccurate. Sometimes people goes out of stores in a hurry, so people don't write down that they've taken it, or they miscount. It gets broken, damaged, leaked or stolen. So we don't bother with accounts for that. And then the office equipment was 11,400. The bank was 10,850. Banks of course can be overdrawn, in which case the entry would be on the credit side, and everything else, and the brought down and carried down would be the other side. £402 worth of cash left. We owed 5,600 on that. Capital hasn't changed. It would, although it technically changes as you do every transaction, we wouldn't bother updating it till all the adjustments at the end of the year. And then we had £48 worth of motor vehicle expenses, and she took £400 out to live on. And our trial balance adds up. There are errors that you can make in double entry systems, and the trial balance will still balance, but that just is about debits and credits. So just quickly back to this, the different ways of remembering it.